Now, sometimes people have a picture of God as some mean judge, just waiting for you to step out of line so he can smite you. And if that's your picture of God, you know what? I understand why you don't want to come to church. It's like, man, I don't want to go to church and go before a judge. I'm going to get community service, or whatever it might be. But that's not a great picture of God. And if that's your picture of God, then God's will is going to be something very difficult and very alien and everything opposite of what you really want to do. And so you've got to get the right picture of God if you want to know what the will of God is. Sometimes people have a picture of God like, the old deist philosophy where God he's the creator and the originator of everything, wound everything up and set it in motion, and then he went off to have coffee somewhere. And everything just kind of unwinds as it's supposed to. And so God is distant, far away. He just put principles to rule the universe. Well, if that's your picture of God, it's going to be hard for you to know the will of God because you're going to think God is far away. Sometimes I've met people who think that God is like the Force of Star Wars. He's impersonal, he's energy. Well, you can't have a relationship with a force field. I don't care how many mitochondrians you got, or whatever they call them in the... Is that what they call them, Alex? Whatever. You know what? It's like... Stick your finger in a light socket. Wow, I really felt something. But you can't have a relationship with an impersonal force. And so that's why our picture of God is so vital for us to understand God's will for us. And so that's why when Jesus taught us to pray, and to the Protestants we call it the Lord's Prayer, and to us Catholics we call it the Our Father. And so if you call it the Our Father, I know you're Catholic background like myself. And so he said, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. But notice what precedes thy will be done, our Father. Not our judge, not our force, not our cosmic clockmaker in the universe, or past far and finding out. No, our Father. Personal, relational God. You got to get the right picture of God if you know his will, if you want to know his will. Could you imagine if I'm out cutting the grass and my three boys, they come up and they fall down on their face before me on the front sidewalk. Oh, Father, what be thy will? Oh, thy will is so mysterious and past finding out. Oh, God, Father, how mysterious are thy ways. Now, if that happened, my neighbors would call a social worker. I mean, there's something wrong with that dude. So obviously the will is not difficult to find out, would it? Really? Listen, I'm their father. So first of all, they should not be approaching me like that. And second of all, if they see what I'm doing, you know what? You know what the will of God is? You know what the will of God, the will? Yes, in my house. No, the will of their dad is, well, pick up a broom, you sweep the walk, you rake up the clippings, and you take the weed eater and trim the weeds. That's the will. See, Jesus said, I only do what I see my Father doing. And so first of all, you've got to get the right picture of God, that he's Father, that he loves you, that you matter to God. He designed you for a purpose. When you understand that you're not an accident, you're not a piece of slime that crawled out of a swamp, that became a frog, that became a duck, that became a chicken, that became a pig, that became a monkey, that became a scientist, you're far beyond that. You are God's idea, made in his image. You're valuable to God.